Let's record a show.
All right, we're hot.
All right. Ready? Three, two, one. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 221, recorded on Pi Day 2019. That's right, guys. The whole episode, we're just going to talk about pie, why it's delicious, and what pies pair best with your classic Nintendo games. No, we're not going to do that. Actually, what we're going to talk about is new NES online games, an Octopath Traveler prequel, Captain Toad's Got DLC, and so much more. Jesse, you know what to do. Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Marty Estes here with the rest of the Nintendo Dads crew, and I wish I did have some pie. Jesse Waldak is with us tonight from VGTribune.com. Jesse, I want to ask you before you say anything, this is a very crucial question. If you could have any piece of pie right now to eat, what kind of pie is your favorite?
Chocolate silk.
Ooh, that's a good choice. That's a very good choice.
I've never been a fan of the fruited pies. So like the apple, the cherry, yeah, and what's the
not even key lime pie?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that, but more of like the pumpkin pie and that type of thing. I like. I'm trying to think of the pie with you normally hear with nuts.
Pecan?
Pecan pie, yeah. That is nasty. Keep that away from me.
Well, down here in the South, I mean, pecan pie is a blood type. How are you doing, man? How's your week been?
My throat has been awful, and you could probably hear it. But earlier in the week, it was even worse. My daughter even said, "Your voice is pitched lower than normal." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
You can do some really cool voiceover work right now for like Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yep, there it is. Also joining us this week, Nintendo Dad's community manager extraordinaire, Tim Alf. Tim, this is an important question. If you could have any pie, which one is your favorite?
Sweet potato pie.
Really?
Yes.
That is not what I expected. Shut my mouth, as the song says. Tim, how you doing, man?
I am doing great, and even better now that I get to be on today's show.
And we want to thank you for joining in tonight. If you're wondering where the Euro Boys are, it is because they are currently trapped in a world where they are 2 hours behind the United States, which means normally Justin and Gary wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to record this wonderful show, and it would be 3 a.m. for them this week. And that just, y'all, look, we love you, but we're not making them get up that early. So Tim is here pinch hitting with them this week, and we'll talk more about what's going to happen with next week's show and the show after that here in just a little bit. As for me, what kind of pie am I going to have? I've already mentioned it. Key lime pie with just a little bit of whipped cream on top, or this awesome pumpkin, this thing, it sounds gross, all right, but I'm going to say it, pumpkin dump cake that my mother-in-law makes, and it is just amazing.
I don't think I've ever had a pumpkin dump before. Normally the dump cakes I've had are, again, as I said, the fruited pies, cakes.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of.
Look,
but as a cake, it's not bad. As a pie,
I will get you I'll get you a recipe come Thanksgiving time this year.
Yeah, I'll probably give it a try.
I would love that.
You're gonna have a new favorite pie. Speaking of favorites, you know what my favorite is? News, and we've got a bunch of it this week. So let's get right into it, shall we?
I kind of jumped the gun on that one, but okay.
It's all right. Our news is brought to us by you guys over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can join up with this merry band of people who are changing the world and providing fantastic Nintendo content through the avenue of Nintendo Dads.
Before we start, I want to go. Dante in chat goes, "What is a dump cake?" So I replied with, You dump ingredients in the pan,
Yes.
unmixed, and let it bake.
It is not what it sounds like, right?
It doesn't look like it should work, but it works wonderfully.
Yeah.
It's-
Like the first time I heard it, I'm like, I'm not eating anything with the word dump in the title.
Yeah, when my son was in the Boy Scouts, that was a favorite. They do that every camping trip.
Yeah. So a pumpkin dump cake, for those of you who are wondering, and now we turn into recipe dads, is it's made with like the crust is like crushed nuts, and then there's pumpkin and like the pumpkin pie mix, like you make it like a pumpkin pie, and then on top of that you're gonna put cake mix, like crumbled up cake mix, and butter, and then you're gonna cover all of that in whipped cream. It's really healthy for you. It's recommended that you eat at least half a pumpkin dump cake by yourself every Thanksgiving.
Is it keto?
I like that recommendation.
Probably not.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dr. Marty says, it's like Dr. Spachiman from 30 Rock now. Guys, all of this has been to stall while I pull up Patreon that I forgot to pull up earlier. And why am I doing that? Because we have a brand new patron this week, and we want to say thank you to Elysian Warrior for joining us at the $1 level. Thank you so much. That brings us up to 94 total patrons. You guys are awesome. We love you. Thanks so much. And while we're here, speaking of Patreon and Discord, let me share with you a couple of things from Drew, who is our tournament organizer extraordinaire over on the Let's Play section in the Discord, our Discord server. He says, tournament recap, Tourney 7 ends at midnight Saturday. That is for Enter the Gungeon. And if you are playing or hope to enter on the Enter the Gungeon tournament, the rules are there under the tournaments and leaderboards section. You can find all of those there. Submit straight to him. You can send him a private message with your photos. And then the last tourney of Season 2 begins on Sunday and runs through the end of March. The sneak peek is that the tourney will be Tournament 8 Tourney Remix. And so that is going to run through the end of March. And he said that earlier he said there are 140 coins up for grabs in this final tournament. And he's giving us 2 weeks because it's going to take a bit of time, gentlemen.
Yeah. The last tournament of Season 1 was like 23 different games to do certain tasks in, and he says this sounds like it's going to be larger than that. I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Drew does great work over there, and if you're not playing in the tournaments or our pre-show gaming every Thursday night, you need to get in on that and check out what's going over there. But so thanks to Drew and thanks to Elysium Warrior for coming in and being a brand new patron this week. Guys, let's talk about some headlines that are in the news this week. First and foremost, I know that probably all of us played Octopath Traveler, right? Tim, you played it, right? Jesse,
Yes,
I know you at least bought it.
I at least bought it.
Right?
That's as far as I'm getting. That's as much as I'll claim to admit to.
Well, here's the deal. Octopath Traveler sold 1.5 million copies and did extremely well for itself on the Switch, far exceeding Square Enix's expectations. So much so that Square Enix has revealed this week that the Octopath Traveler series is going to expand. There's going to be a prequel that's coming to iOS and Android devices. Jesse says only in Japan, but I don't know that there's been confirmation that it's going to come everywhere else. But also
that's just what I heard, but I could be wrong.
You can consider the iOS and Android version of Octopath Traveler or the prequel kind of a stopgap because Square Enix also announced that they are working on a new game in development for Switch in the Octopath Traveler franchise, that's what they're referring it to as now, the Octopath Traveler franchise.
Well, it just takes 2 games to do it, doesn't it?
Right, yeah.
So we already know of 3.
Obviously, they're wanting to build on what's happened there. And that will be coming out later on sometime, not this year, probably next year. Here's the deal. Like, I think this is cool. I think this is a great idea. Switch has been accused a little bit lately of having too many JRPGs, but anytime that you want to like revive Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6, as some people want to call it, and make a game out of that, make it look as gorgeous as
the
Octopath
right people
did.
would call it 6. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, I'm okay with that. Well, I call it Final Fantasy 3 because that's what it was, when I originally played it. So, here you go.
Here's
So
a question for you. Do you think that because of Link's Awakening, that other companies will follow by trying to remaster some of their old Game Boy games?
I would love that.
Especially if it's successful?
Yeah, like, I'm thinking specifically of, like, Final Fantasy Adventure or the Final Fantasy Legend games.
Yeah.
I also think another one that would be interesting, I know this would cause probably a little bit of a stink, but I don't care, is I think Final Fantasy Mystic Quest would be a perfect, like, nostalgia port to the Switch, like, upgraded a little bit. If you remember, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest came out on the Super Nintendo, and it was very point A to point B, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of hand-holdy, but it was to introduce a new generation of players to what a Japanese role-playing game was.
And by new generation, they mean us here, Yanks in the West.
Well, sure, and our children.
Well,
at that time,
we were the children back then, but I'm talking about when it was new.
Oh well,
yeah, because they thought we didn't know, because Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest didn't take off. They thought we didn't know how to play JRPGs, so they gave us this. I agree, it's a horrible game, but I enjoy it.
I don't think it was too bad. It's one of those games that, like, you play it and you're like, okay, this is not as robust. It's not as beefy as the other what I'm used to, but it's still pretty fun. I mean,
it is one of the few RPGs that scales properly, so you don't have to grind.
Yes.
That is why I like it so much.
All developers of RPGs should take lessons from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest on scaling. I completely agree with you on that. I don't want to spend 30 hours out in the field fighting the same wildebeest or whatever.
I agree.
Where's that metal slime?
And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, because I bought I Am Setsuna when I got my Switch, and I'm just now, like, finally getting around. I'm like, oh, okay, I've had this for 2 years now. I need to play it. And I've got some problems with it. I love it, but there's some issues with I Am Setsuna that
I never could get into that game. I bought it twice and never could get far.
I bought it twice too, and I thought, it's portable now. I'll play it.
So you can't see my camera based on how I have my setup today, but I'm holding up the real Final Fantasy 3, which is a DS game. Thank you. It's on YouTube. You can watch it there.
Yeah, okay. That's
one of the ones I would like to see, and I think it could be done because of the IR camera, is Boktai.
Oh, was that the one that you powered with the sun?
Yes.
I have not played that one. I've heard
never played it.
I've heard of it.
I heard it was good.
I heard it was good too. I honestly didn't get to play it either, and that's why I would love to see them bring that.
I think that that one has to get in line behind Golden Sun, Tim. to many fans, I think.
Yeah,
that one would be easier.
Anameister agrees with you there. Anameister, the chat agrees.
And also Mother 3, which is never going to happen.
Right. Well, yeah. That's number one.
That's on all of our lists.
I have the fan translation cards. Just saying.
I would love a Mother collection.
I need
That's
to
what I'm hoping for.
Yes. So did
as
Zach,
much as I've heard about Mother 3's story, I really need to dig in and finish it. But up until recently, I've not had much patience for JRPGs. But now, like, all of a sudden, it's coming back. I just played so many over the years, I burnt myself on them. But then, on the other hand, I still haven't finished Kingdom Hearts 3, and I don't know that I'm going to, because it's a ridiculous, pompous, bloated parody of a game. I said it. I don't care.
Shots fired.
Would you play it again?
The more I play Kingdom Hearts, the more annoyed at it I get.
Would you try it again if it was on the Switch?
No, I'm going to finish it on PS3 and sell it as fast as I can.
PS3?
Or PS4, whatever. I finish it. I don't even know what I'm playing it on. Uh, anyway, let's move on. New Nintendo Switch NES games dropped this week, and we got some really good ones this time. I thought, or one really good one, the excellent Star Tropics, which is a U.S. only game that is only released or well, English only game. I think regions that have English or primarily English speaking regions got this one. Kid Icarus also released, which is a dumpster garbage fire of a game. If you don't agree with me, fight me. That's okay. We also got two new SP games, which were not revealed to that day, and they're actually really good as well. Kirby's Adventure SP. I would argue you don't need an SP version for that game, really. But then Zelda 2 SP, which, oh my gosh, have I been waiting for this forever. Because I was playing Zelda 2 since it released, and I made it to the fourth temple or the third one. It's the one where you have to fight the Dark Knight on a horse, where you have to use the down thrust to knock him off, and then you have to fight the knife throwing Dark Knight, and you probably have like one bar of life left, like me, when you get to that point. Yeah, it just was not happening. So the Zelda 2 SP, these guys were informing me ahead of time before the show that in Zelda 2 SP you start at the very beginning of the game, but everything's maxed out. Everything's level 8.
Yeah,
and
everything.
then,
You start with 888, so you still start with only four bars of health and 4 bars of magic. You collect those as you play.
Yes.
You have no items. You still play the game like normal. It's just you start with 888.
Yeah. Kirby's Adventure SP
makes XP gains completely useless.
Yeah, Kirby's Adventure SP. I'm not sure what the issue is there.
Yeah.
Did you check that one out?
I read the description, but I
not.
completely forgot what it was new.
Okay. Now we got to go find it in the
Because I do the monthly videos talking about this, and I actually I recorded the video Tuesday night because I noticed the app updated early for us. So I did my recording then and had it posted Wednesday morning.
Well, I looked this up, and from Reddit it says Kirby's Adventure SP might just be another glorified save state, but it's actually more worthwhile than you might expect. It fills one of your save slots with a 100% completed version of the game, which effectively gives you access to every bonus game, extra game, and sound test in the process.
Yeah, you have to beat the game the first time to play the hard mode. So this lets you play the hard mode right off the bat. That's what it was.
Right. So there you go. So I've been playing through Star Tropics, and I'll talk about that later on and what I've been playing. I've actually been really enjoying. I forgot how much. Two things I forgot about Star Tropics. Number one, I forgot how much I enjoy the game, but number two, I forgot how ridiculously, insanely hard it is. There's just some things that happen that are just like, yeah, that was designed to kill me, like cheaply, right?
Yeah, like
there's some things that don't make sense.
I've only played through the first level, and I forgot what the red potions do, or how to trigger them.
They heal you all the way back up.
Right, because I couldn't remember how to trigger them because when in that first dungeon, and I did this while I was recording my video. I got the 2 potions, and then I went up to the next screen, and it was just a pitfall screen.
Yep.
I'm like,
that's a big troll.
That's rude.
Did you figure out how to did you know how to trigger them now?
No, I haven't gotten back to it.
You press start, and then you press down, and it moves you to another menu where it says magic items, and your potions will be there, and you just hit A, and you'll use one.
Okay, because I'll probably need
later
that
on
to kill...
you'll need to know how to do that because the boss of Chapter 2 is a giant octopus who's imprisoned a dolphin away from its mother, and you get a magic snowman item, and when it comes in to attack you, instead of trying to do this long prolonged out fight that would take forever, you can freeze it with the snowman and then just go to town on it with the bat.
I remember that.
So yeah, it's not obvious at all. I have no clue what the stars do. Hint, Nintendo, this would be a great time to mention again, include instruction manuals with your NES online games.
Yeah,
you had them with Wii U and the Virtual Console with the Wii,
Right.
Help us out here.
If Reggie was still, working for them because he listens to your show,
Of
so
course.
he would have probably done that for you. But he's retiring,
He
so
might not listen to our show, but the guys over at the Behemoth do, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Uh, so those are out there. They're a free download if you're a Nintendo Online subscription holder, even for a month. I'm going to get to test out the first test of like games not working after 7 days. It's coming because I'm going to be out of the country for 9 days starting next Thursday.
Ah, let us know how that goes.
Yeah, so it means I'm not going to be able to play Super Mario Brothers 2, which is like my comfort game. But anyway.
Maybe you can Wi-Fi at the airport to get in so you can play it on the
I'm
flight.
going to try to do it on my phone long enough just to pick up a connection to get it, for the next 7 days. But we're crossing over to the border on Saturday. I'm leaving on Thursday, driving down to the border. We're crossing over on Saturday, so I'll probably do it at the hotel room that morning. Like I'll connect to Wi-Fi and do it, and then we're
That's right. I
back out.
forgot you were driving.
Yeah, we're back out on the following Friday, so that's actually not going to be 7 days, but that's okay. It'll almost be 7 days. Other news this week: Captain Toad Treasure Tracker Special Episode DLC is now available. In addition to the one extra course that was made available at announcement during the last Nintendo Direct, you now can access 5 new courses and 18 new challenges across those courses for $5.99. It also adds the new update when it dropped. Also added co-op to all levels, and that's been available now for almost a month. But these new levels will have co-op too. And hey, you know what? You cannot beat more Captain Toad, right? I love Captain Toad. Tim,
Yeah.
did you get this?
Not yet. I'm trying to beat the main part first before I commit to buying the DLC. I will
Gotcha.
eventually, but
Do
I
you
want to
have
beat.
Captain Toad on the Switch?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
And I've been contemplating buying a custom amiibo for turning Toad into Captain Toad.
Nice.
Because I saw somebody selling one on Etsy. Because Captain Toad's awesome.
Toad is awesome. And you know who's even better? Captain Toadette. Is it Captain Toadette, or they just call her Toadette? I don't know. They don't ever really mention her name. But anyway, that update is out there right now, and I wish that I had time to play it before the show tonight, but I did not get a chance to do that. I was actually really had meant to, but we will talk about that hopefully on next week's show and let you know how that is. Also,
You won't be.
I won't be, but somebody will. Somebody will tell you how it is. Splatoon 2 has been updated to 4.5 version 4.5.1. It fixes a specific game crash error in Clam Blitz mode on the Piranha Pit level. So very, very specific thing.
A lot of weird consonants put together to make that sentence.
Yeah, it was. 4.5.0 actually caused this glitch, and now they've released that just to fix it. So there's nothing extra in this one, just a specific fix for that one little glitch. Those are all of our headlines. Let's move on and talk about some rumors.
I'm not used to using these newer buttons yet. I had to find it.
Tim, what do you think about those new bumpers, man? You
I
like them?
love them.
You like them?
Love them.
Okay.
And I can't wait to hear what you guys do with the refresh.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll use them for a while, and it's just a way to break things up, right? So we're not just yammering on and on for an hour about news.
I was expecting some Adele though, when you're talking about rumors, so.
Sadly, we cannot do that, or she will sue us. I love Adele, but I feel like she probably does not want us to use her music without our permission. Are you a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, Tim?
How do I answer that without offending anybody? No.
Oh no, look, I offend people on the show weekly. Go right ahead.
No. I did not grow up with Sonic, so I don't have any nostalgia. I appreciate everybody else's. When I was a kid, I had a friend of mine try to trade me my Super Nintendo for his Genesis so he could play Super Nintendo games. That lasted 2 days, and I told him I can't do it. You got to give me my Super Nintendo.
Yeah, you made the right choice. Were you an only child growing up, or did you have brothers and sisters?
I was the only child, yes.
See, I was an only child as well. And the only reason I mention that is because being an only child, you usually get what you want, right? A lot. So I didn't do anything really as a kid like sports or anything like that. I played video games. And so I was one of the only kid. I was the only kid I know when I was growing up at that age in the 16-bit era who had a Super Nintendo, a Genesis, and a TurboGrafx 16.
Wow.
All at the same time.
I had a friend who had the
And
same
so
thing.
I got to experience the very best of the
I don't
16-bit
think
era.
any of my
all at
friends had a PC Engine TurboGrafx.
I loved that game system, and I sold it or traded it in at GameStop, EB Games, long ago, probably for, an N64 game or something, because they probably gave me crap for it. But I to this day wish that I had it. I even had the Turbo Express, which was the portable handheld TurboGrafx 16. Which all of you who complain about the Switch's battery life, just let me tell you, Turbo Express 8 through batteries. It was like 8 AA batteries lasted for about 45 minutes.
It was ahead of its time, though.
Oh, it was way ahead of its time.
Atari Lynx or something took like 6 Cs.
It even had a TV tuner, which I did not have, that you could use to watch TV on it.
Yeah.
Which is
Game
pretty
Gear
cool.
did too.
And now we've gone from Sonic to everything else. The whole point of the reason I was asking this is because I grew up, in that early preteen teenage years playing Sega Genesis, playing Sonic the Hedgehog and loving it, playing Mickey's Castle Illusion and loving it. And so I have some fond memories of Sonic, but not like Mario. But I know there's some fans of Sonic that listen to our show. And so last week we talked a little bit about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie designs, that had leaked and how disappointing they were, right? And how even Yuji Naka was disappointed in those. Well, now the Sonic the Hedgehog movie guy, like the people who were over the movie, are now claiming that those are early designs, like they've been leaked, and they were early designs. Oh, we got it's much better now. What I guess I wanted to discuss about this is, number one, is that total bullcrap, and they're just trying to soften the blow, or is this, oh God, that leaked? We've got to do better. Back to the drawing board, or is it real? Like, is it okay, guys? Those were early designs. We tested them. They didn't work.
Right.
We did something else.
Well,
what do you think?
I could see them being early designs and the final product might be a little bit different, but I don't think it'll be that much different.
Right.
Because, we have movie posters already. The movie's kind of slotted and, they can still push it, but really it's harder to move a movie launch date at this stage. And we've seen parts, like, we've seen Sonic from off angles already, like from the behind, from like a first person view look. So we kind of already have a vague idea of what he looks like. We just haven't seen his face yet. So, which is probably, if there was any changes, that's where that would have happened. It would be there. But I could see it being a little bit different than those designs, but it's probably not going to be much.
So for me, just as we just discussed, there's no nostalgia there for me. So I don't care. To be honest, I see these leaks and stuff. It's like, okay, what comes out, it's great.
Yeah. I've never been a fan of the games. I'll play like one level and I'm like, okay, I'm already tired of this. But I did watch the cartoons when back then. So
Which one?
like the original one with the silly Robotnik, and then the one with the
Yeah,
Resistance
because
of
like
Sally.
you
I
know
remember
that
I
was
like that
such
one
a
better.
weird thing is that Sega actually allowed, sanctioned, and you know produced two different Sonic cartoons that aired at the exact same time in the exact same time period that were totally completely different.
Right. Anyway, so and the art style weren't too different between the two shows
No.
either. You know, they probably could have just swapped models, and it's just the difference.
And
Definitely a difference in the animation quality on the
you know the
syndicated
crazy thing
version
about those
versus the
shows,
Saturday morning version.
the crazy thing about those shows is that the one I ended up seeing the most was the stupid one,
Right.
right? The one with the mole robot and the chicken robot that were like Robotnik's
Because that was a
Mad Cow.
syndication that aired
That
Monday
was
to
the one that was
Friday.
in syndication, right? And it would be on at like 6:30 in the morning when I was getting up to get ready for school. So I would sit there and I would have my toaster strudel and I would watch The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. The Saturday morning one, I very rarely saw because we were always busy. We were always going and doing something on Saturday morning. I would catch it every now and then. This was before DVR, before Hulu, before Netflix. So I didn't get to see that one, but I remember loving it so much because it was so different and it was that like dark and mature, mature Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, I,
Well, it wasn't designed for a 6-year-old.
no, it was not. It was not.
That
But you're like we probably can. I mean, we could sit here and beat this to death. I mean, really, what is the rumor is they'll just leak designs were early
right.
or whatever. All
Anyway,
I'm gonna say is this.
But that art style is what I have in my head for when I think of what Sonic is, and so when I
Yes,
see this,
yes, me too.
it's like a human with a furry head on it.
And you know what's crazy about that is that the stupid one, the one that was just idiotic, is more canon than the other. And here's how I know this because when they put out Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for the Genesis,
Uh-huh.
the chicken and the mole, they're in there
Oh, right.
in those designs. You play Puyo Puyo against them.
They play it, yeah.
There's no and it's like there's no other design for Dr. There's none of the gritty Sonic designs. No, it's Stupid Mole and Grounder and Scratch. That was their name. Yeah, you play against Scratch and Grounder. Stupid.
So to go back to the designs, I wanted to say this too real quick.
Yeah,
is
let's
that,
thank you, Tim, for putting this on track.
when they either early release or leak any Mario stuff, I'm not going to care about that either. And I'm more of a fan of Nintendo. And I totally respect what Sonic has done and Genesis and Sega has done. So what I said earlier, please don't get me wrong. Anybody on, just me saying I don't care. I'm interested. I want to see where this goes, but I'm not going to damn it, if you will, just because of some potential leaked images. It's fun to discuss. It's interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected the
it's just
movie
like-
to look exactly like what I remember from the old cartoons. I would have expected them to be different, just like
Yes.
Detective Pikachu still looks like a Pikachu, but looks more realistic.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Transformers too.
I figured they'd take a more realistic take on Sonic. Not
The only thing
Little
that
World Hedgehog, but yeah, that.
the only thing I have to say about the whole Sonic thing is I really hate it for the Sonic team that this movie is coming out the same year that Detective Pikachu is.
Yeah, true.
That's all I'm going to say. I mean, like, take from that what you will. All right, let's move on to the next rumor here. We talked about this a couple weeks on the show ago on the show when Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield were revealed, and I talked about a leaked image, from 4chan or one of those chans or something like that talked about, the Trojan horse Pokemon being the legendary or like the wooden horse and the armored whatever, and how some of the evolutions were going to be armored evolutions. Well, now Game Freak and Nintendo have applied for a new trademark in Japan for armored Mewtwo. This is not a rumor, this is a fact, but I put it in the rumor section because I think it just it stirs that rumor just
Yeah,
a little bit
it
more.
adds speculation of what we could see in Sword
there
and
were
Shield.
there were all kinds of armored evolutions that were mentioned in that. I believe, like armored Blastoise was one of them. Armored Mewtwo, armored Charizard, several others. It's going to be interesting to see. Like I wasn't particularly sold on Pokemon Sword and Shield when they first revealed it, but after having a couple weeks to sit with it and anticipate it, I'm actually looking forward to this one. Tim, you love Pokemon, I know. So, what do you think? Armored evolutions here?
I'm as soon as that direct showed us what we were gonna get, I was all in. So I know a lot of people are ripping on the starter Pokemon and how plain they look compared to, say, Sun and Moon. Uh, but I think I like where the potential is, especially for the water one, and I can't remember the name of it right
Ensemble.
now. Yes, just that one to me seems like it's all meek and shy, and then I think it's like one of those ones where it evolves to something really powerful, and it might be the same for all three, but I think there's something more to them than we're being led to right now. But I'm excited for it, especially with this armored stuff. I'm excited.
The chat's hinting that it may, instead of being related to the game, be related to the new Pokemon movie remake. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did, but I don't know. I mean, like there was armored was attached to that particular leak, which also leaked several other things, and that came out days before the actual direct, and it actually called it Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I really kind of lend some credence to that at this point.
Maybe there's a connection between the two, and that's why they're remaking it.
That's possible.
That maybe.
Yeah, because when they did they made us the like a 4 or 5 episode anime retelling Red's journey. It ended with the Mega Charizard evolution to defeat Mewtwo. So it was a different telling of the 1996 story. This was the 2014 version of it. So this could be taking that and adding elements of what's in Gen 8. We don't know. Yeah, Pokemon Origins. Thanks, Mecha Dragon. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what comes out of that. I'm armored Pokemon sounds pretty awesome when you really get down to it and think about it. Next rumor here. The Australian Classification Board has leaked or accidentally revealed a Castlevania Anniversary Collection. They revealed this by rating it. They also revealed in this rating that it will be multi-platform, though they did not mention which platforms it will be available for. I'm telling you now, if there's a Castlevania collection with 8-bit games and it does not come to the Switch, there will be blood in the streets. Oh my gosh. But can we just go ahead and establish this? If they're going to put Castlevania 2 on there, fix it. Fix it.
Xbox One and PS4 will get 1 and 3. Switch will get 2.
So I don't know, Marty.
That is so terrible that it makes sense. Please take it back.
Marty, I don't know if you've caught on to this before, and especially in Discord. Whenever you go on one of these tangents, I've called you Wardy. Now I don't know if you've caught that.
I know, and I know.
Like
it just looks like Wardy, but this is not a tangent. I'm just saying I think this is fantastic news. I'm excited about this.
So Marty has Wardy and I have Eric.
He's got Wardy.
How it works.
It's like Mario has Wario, Marty has Wardy.
It's fine.
But no, this is because I was going to say that Wardy's going to come out if they don't bring the collection to the Switch.
He will. He will. And there's still time for Capcom, as it's hitting home runs here lately in a lot of ways, to bring Disney Afternoon Collection to the Switch. Just saying. But Do we here's the question here. What do we expect to be on this collection? I know this is just speculation at this point, but if you're putting together a Castlevania anniversary collection, what goes on there?
At least 1, 3, and Rondo.
Okay. What about you, Tim?
I don't know enough about the DS games to know if any of them are good.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of Castlevania.
yeah, especially in the Game Boy Advance ones.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know is they could probably do multiple collections, starting with each era of Castlevanias. But where it gets kind of foggy for me is because how many were on the Super Nintendo? Was it just one?
I think just one.
So to make it a collection, it would have to be Super Nintendo, and was there another one, or maybe I don't know. That's where I'm lost. Is like, yeah, they could do like Nintendo ones a collection, and then
But Castlevania Judgment.
There's
yeah.
So like, I'm really thinking that as these as this collection shapes up, right, that you're probably going to see, this is what I would hope, and I think would be feasible, but I don't know that it's going to or that it's going to happen, is the first 3 NES games, Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, Castlevania 4, and then Castlevania The Adventure for Game Boy, Castlevania 2, which was Belmont's Revenge, and then there was a third one, I believe, on Castlevania, or third Castlevania on the Game Boy, or maybe it just stopped at 2. I'm honestly, I don't know. There like I said, there's been so many Castlevania games, and then because people like terrible games, throw Symphony of the Night on there as well. Yeah, I said it. And people are already probably, Marty!
One collection I could see they could do where it would separate for the Super Nintendo version out from the first 3 you mentioned could be that they do the Super Castlevania one, and then also the Game Boy Advance ones, because those are considered to be Super Nintendo level type games.
Right.
Potentially.
The thing about it is, though, is that a lot of it's not really a anniversary collection if you just collect like the NES game and the NES games and the Super Nintendo game, right? I'm thinking that there's like I like the idea you had of eras. So like if you do like up until, like, what if they did the anniversary collection and it was all the Castlevanias that were not Metroidvanias or Castleroids, as we like to refer to them. So you've got, Castlevania 1, 2, 3, you've got Castlevania Adventure, Belmont's Revenge, and Super Castlevania 4. Then, like Jesse said, Rondo of Blood, Bloodlines, and Dracula X, which is really just Rondo of Blood, right? It's just redone. So that's.
Not sure.
Am I right on that?
Yeah, it's kind of a dumbed down version, if I remember right.
Right. Yeah, it's not very good. It was the one that came out for Super Nintendo.
Right.
I see something for the Game Boy called Castlevania Legends.
But it didn't come out until 97. So again, if you end around the Dracula X era, that kind of, there's like a 2-year gap in there where they were developing Symphony of the Night and they were about to put it out. Okay. That would give them time to, that would be a good clean break there.
Right. Unless they just went with a timeline.
Unless they just want to like throw all of the Castlevania games on there, and then cool, great, awesome. But anyway, I hope that's coming. I'm hoping that is like an E3 reveal, and I'm hoping that the Switch is getting it. Speaking of a game that the Switch is hopefully getting, I'm just going to say this before I get into the rumor. I called this. I said it. I wanted it, which is basically me calling it. The Behemoth tweeted today from their account and also posted on the Facebook page for Castle Crashers an image of 4 Castle Crasher colored Joy-Cons. No comment, nothing else, just the 4 of those. Someone responded to them on Twitter and said, "But you forgot the pink one." They then posted a picture of a pink Joy-Con in that, and it's done in the art style of Castle Crashers. Guys, I really think Castle Crashers is coming to the Switch, and I could not be happier. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Castle Crashers, it originally released on Xbox Live Arcade way back when the Xbox 360 was in its heyday, and it was developed by the Behemoth, and it's basically a 4-player, or it can be any number of players. It's a beat 'em up 2D, kind of like Final Fight-esque game, but there's level ups, there's gear to equip, and there's these weird floaty pets who follow you around and give your guys different powers, and it has a great sense of humor. It's a ton of fun to play. I said back then, I was like, this would be a perfect game for the Switch, right? This would be, it's a no-brainer. You've got 4 Joy-Cons, you're playing together. It was originally released in 2008, so it is a little bit dated, but it's still fun. In fact, I played this not long ago on Xbox One. We have an Xbox One here at church, and that Xbox One has my Xbox Live account on it. You can go download all those old games. Castle Crashers is on there. I was like, I've got to try this. I've got to play Castle Crashers. It's been, so long. I mean, it's been 10 years or more, right? Of course, I played it the entire time I had an Xbox 360. I think this is, if done right, if priced right, this is a slam dunk for the Switch, for the eShop. My hope is, and some people have mentioned this, like Brian mentioned this on Discord, is that this is the precursor to a sequel announcement, right? That right. Maybe there'll be a sequel come out for this. What I would hope is, if there's not a sequel, there was a ton of DLC for this game back in the day, which added a bunch of different characters. I would love to see Castle Crashers Deluxe with that. I did notice on their Facebook
page, DX, but sure.
one of the things I haven't seen people talking about is on their Facebook page. At the top, their Facebook page cover photo, it says Castle Crashers Remastered on it. Okay. And I'm just wondering, is that the name of it? Is it?
Here's another thing to throw at you. What if this is part of the Xbox rumor?
Oh, damn.
Good point.
You just added. No, okay, never mind. The remastered thing was from Xbox One. Okay. It was announced in 2015. So there you go. So totally not that, but that lends some credence to that, right? Because I noticed today Microsoft, and we'll talk about, let's take a little side tour and talk about this for a minute. Microsoft announced today that it wants all games on Android and iOS to have Xbox Live achievements.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Which kind of goes to what was originally announced back in January at GDC. They wanted to get Xbox Live achievements available to other platforms, and then the Switch was brought up and then it was taken down off the calendar. So it started this whole conversation of Xbox Live expanding. So hopefully we'll know more by end of next week.
Yeah, it's gonna, we're closer than we have been the entire time we've been speculating. So I really am excited to see what's going to come out of that. I think that this could possibly be a precursor to Microsoft exiting the console market and concentrating on games as a service. But I also think that this is how they feel they're going to get their foot in the door in a big way in Japan. By having Xbox and Microsoft stuff on a Nintendo console, since they're literally selling just handfuls of Xbox in right. over there. I think that's how they see the foot in the door. It's like, okay, we'll give them Banjo back, we'll give them a couple of things, and they'll let us put the put Halo on the Switch or whatever, and that's how people will play it. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. Another thing I'm kind of cool with is Gearbox is hinting a Borderlands announcement that will be made at PAX East, and the rumbling is that this announcement will be Borderlands 2 coming to the Switch, which will also be revealed at PAX East. What do you guys think about that? Is that a possibility even? I've never played Borderlands.
Neither have I.
I've heard it's good.
The closest
Tim, did you play?
The closest I've come is
Nope.
Claptrap was an opponent in Poker Night 2.
The poker game, right?
Yeah. Which apparently
same here.
is no longer available. That's been taken down from the
sucks.
store, and I didn't know that until someone said that they can't buy it anymore.
I
love
played
that.
I played the original Borderlands as a renter and really liked it. I mean, it's like that role playing esque shooter, right? And I can see how that can kind of draw people in, but I think I think that it's a great catch for the Switch if they get it. But we'll see if that happens. PAX is next week, right?
It's a 2 week. It starts 2 weeks from today, and
Yep.
it goes through that week, the last weekend in March.
Yep. So there you go. PAX East. We'll know more. Nintendo has a huge presence at PAX East as well, so that lends itself to some nice Switch announcements over there. Let's move on and let's discuss, shall we? Tonight's topic on Let's Discuss is going to be a game called Bonds of the Skies. This game is available right now for Nintendo Switch as well as 3DS. It has long been on the 3DS, but now is available on the Switch as well. The reason this game is our topic of discussion tonight is that it was recently brought to our attention that there is downloadable content available for Bonds of the Skies on the eShop. By the way, the game itself, which Jesse owns, is $12.99.
Yeah, I did a pre-purchase of it, which I had a discount, I think 10% discount if you pre-purchased it. So I paid just on, I paid a little more than $10 for it.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
this
but
game
you can buy it today
is
for $13.
$13. It is available right there on the eShop. It also has DLC. Now, DLC is not really the issue that we're going to discuss because almost all games now, including Nintendo first-party titles, have DLC. However, what we want to talk about for a few minutes is the nature of this DLC. Bonds of the Skies has DLC that we pretty much have not seen yet on the Switch. I would say outside of, what was that game, Pokemon game that you played pretty excessively when it first launched that was free?
Quest?
Pokemon Quest, right. And you could actually, what was it you were able to buy in that game? Remind me, because I didn't get too deep into it.
You pretty much bought extra pots you can cook more food with. It gave you more maximum energy per day, or at a time. But it did a few other things, but it was always just a one-shot purchase. You bought it, you're done. And I don't even remember how much it was. It might have been,
I think you mentioned at the time that it was
thinking $20, but maybe that's high.
Yeah, I think you said $20.
Which still, I get probably put 60 hours into the game. So I would say if I put $20 into it, I got my money's worth. I'm happy with it.
Okay. All right, so $20 into a free-to-play game, and you pretty much enjoyed that game. So really,
I think I ended up 100%ing it. I finished all the levels. I caught all.
If you really wanted to dive in and you really wanted to get everything, and you wanted to pay that $20, that's it, $20, right?
Right.
This game, Bonds of the Sky, we've already established you're paying $13. Let's list off the DLC that is available for this game. I pulled it up right here on the eShop for those of you who are watching on YouTube. If not, just imagine me pulling it up on my Switch. It's right here. The downloadable content available, there's 4 items. The first one is Experience ×3. It's $5. When you go in, and look at it. It says all characters' experience value gained increases by 200%. Settings can be changed in the add-ons section of the menu. The next one that you can buy is $2, $1.99, and it is no encounters. It disables battle encounters, I guess, so you can just walk through the rest of the game. You can also disable this in the add-ons section. The third one, $5, is damage times 2. Damage dealt to enemies is doubled, and it can also be turned on and off in this add-ons menu. And then the last one is $3.99, so $4 total, and it is all characters. It's called Full Restore. All characters' HP, SP, and abnormal statuses are fully recovered and cured after battle. Settings can be changed in the add-on section of the menu. Totaling all of this up, you are now looking at $16 extra to basically help you beat this game. Now, what we had hoped is, and Jesse being a busy man, he just was not able to get to it this week. Again, he bought this game. It's basically a mobile game that's been ported over to the Switch. But the question that we have is, how hard is this game if you have to buy DLC to get through it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and a lot of these things are things we've seen in other games just as part of the game.
Right.
Final Fantasy 13. You finish a battle and everyone's back to full health. Done. Bravely Default had a slider. You can make the random encounters as 0 or as infinitely many as you wanted. So, things like that. So,
but those were never something you had to pay for.
Right. All of those examples were part of the game.
Right.
So I'm hoping that this game isn't just so difficult that it says you pretty much have to buy it, but at least it sounds like everything here is you buy it once, you never have to buy it again, and you can turn it on and off as at will.
That is true, because
when I first heard
the store made me worried that something you had to buy over and over and over.
But when you read Full Restore, that just reminded me, that's just what Final Fantasy 13 is done. So
right. So we ask about this.
I did like that, by the way, in 13 because
we ask about this on our Discord channel, and we got some replies from some of you, and I'm going to read these out. I basically posted the image and said, "What are your thoughts on this? We'll be discussing on the show tonight." Dakota says, "Pricey, unneeded, and pay to win in a single-player game." Colin Harris says, "Let's just face the facts that the Switch is a mobile device / tablet that also plays Nintendo games. This was all the proof I needed." Docat87 says, "No place in any game for microtransactions. Wish they could be outlawed. Ruins any game experiences by trying to get you hooked, a bit like drugs." Drew says, let's add some of the other side to this. He says, "In my opinion, it depends. I'm actually okay with it, especially if the upfront cost is free or well valued. However, if you pay for the game and then are required to buy one to finish it, I'm not okay. You can't mislead the customer. If the extra cost is to make the game easier or quicker, so be it. As someone once said, it's a business and they like making money."
So it also depends on, I think, on how long this game is. I'm not one of those nitpickers that says if I'm paying N dollars, I need to get N hours out of it. Yeah. But it does, at least in an RPG, it's nice to know that I will get some time with it. And even if I didn't buy the game at a discount, the base game on discount, if I bought everything, including all the DLC, it's still under $30, which they probably could have put it on the store for $30 and we wouldn't have known any difference anyway.
Yeah.
And it just had everything turned on and never known it was an option to not buy the extras. So at least they're giving us that benefit of not buying things we don't want.
Ebusel says, "The last thing I need to touch on is the in-app purchases in the game. As usual for Kimco's recent games," and that's the developer, Kimco, "there is a special currency in the game that can be used to buy cheater items as well as access the extra dungeon," which that sucks. That's a terrible use of DLC. You can buy this currency with real money, of course, but the game will give you a little bit each day via a mini game access on the title screen. Just choose a chest and you'll get a handful of points. The dungeon, which is likely of most interest to players, costs 150 of these points. So unless you're incredibly dedicated or lucky, you'll have to shell out real cash for it to the tune of a couple of dollars. As usual, in the interest of science, I checked out the dungeon, and once again, I am happy to report it's not worth it. If you hit a jackpot on the daily game, go for it, but otherwise, spend your meager points on cheat items if you want to make the easy game even easier. And his question before that was, so is the default in this game super hard without these cheats? I.e., did they make it super difficult so you don't buy the cheats? Jesse, this sounds like a video in the making.
If I get around to playing it and can get far enough to make it determine whether I think it's too difficult or not, then yeah, I'll probably come up with something. You know, I don't think I'm not going to buy all of them at once. Definitely, I may. Yeah. If I do enjoy the game, I may buy them all in time just to say, hey, I think this game is worth $30. Thank you.
Well, what I was thinking is just playing it there at the very beginning and seeing if it was hard enough to warrant the DLC purchase.
Oh, are you saying do a let's play at the start?
Yeah, do a let's play at the start and let people see.
I could do that.
I mean, it's also it could save people $16.
True. Also, just because the first half hour may be easy doesn't mean that hour 4 doesn't start getting balls hard.
Yeah.
So
that's true. You might could show a couple of different parts of the game. I don't know, but I just I posted about this. It first popped up on a Nintendo group I'm part of on Facebook, and then the same question. What do you guys think about this? And I don't know. It just feels kind of gross to me, right? Like, what? Why would you need to do this? I get that maybe the game has some difficult parts in it, but it's just that's not gaming. When you can. And this came out a few years ago, right? When you could what was the game that you could spend a set portion of money on and you could unlock everything right from the very beginning? I know EA has done that, right?
I don't know where you're going, but
it was a racing game, right? Maybe it wasn't Gran Turismo, but maybe it was something else. You can unlock everything right from the beginning. Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking of something. There was a pretty popular game, and it got people called it out. That's stupid. You shouldn't be able to do that. I mean, and EA's been in hot water.
Are you thinking of Mod Nation Racing?
What?
Are you thinking of Mod Nation Racing?
Possibly.
That's what Mecha Dragon's thinking. You're thinking of.
Possibly. I mean, it was a big game on PS4 and Xbox One, or it may have been last generation. But anyway, EA, got crucified over loot boxes and pay to win in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Where do you draw the line? Is this necessary or is it horse armor?
If these were consumable microtransactions that they entice you to buy, we'll give you the first 2 for free, and then you can buy more as you want them, to get you hooked, so you want to start relying on them. That's gross, and I'm glad they're not doing that. At least these are, these are still optional. They're in a one-player game, so if you do buy them, it's not going to disrupt you're not going to ruin anyone else's experience. Not like pay-to-win multiplayer games. And they are one-time purchases only, and you can turn them on and off as you want. So it's not going to gouge you. You know what you're getting into. So I'm probably okay with this, as long it depends on how difficult and spiky the game is.
Okay, can I play devil's advocate here?
Sure. Go right ahead. We love devil's advocate.
So, I know there's 2 different genres and probably comparing apples to oranges. However, a popular game that everybody seem to like, and I haven't had a chance to play it myself, is Starlink. And it has DLC add-ons that you can buy I know it's different weapons, and doesn't necessarily change some of the dynamics like these, but it's still in the same price range where you can buy new weapons, add them on to the game. Do you think this developer was trying to do something similar where you could buy these add-ons that, even though they're not weapons, it's just improvements to your characters? Because the weapons could be improvements to your ships. So
Yeah, but I get your point, and I see where you're going with it. But again, Starlink can be played without all of that, right? It remains to be seen if this game is even playable without these
Right.
things.
That's the part we don't know. Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of like Drew said, you know, if it's necessary to do this, then it is kind of bad. If not, then I get why they're doing it. But I guess at the foundational level, Tim, where I kind of have a problem with it is that, you know, when growing up, you if you wanted to play a game and you wanted to beat it, you spent significant time with it and you learned its ins and outs and you learned patterns and you learned, if I get to this point, you know, I've got to jump, or I've got to be ready because the red devil is going to fly up in the air and then come swooping down, you know, like ghosts and goblins. That's entirely Twitch based, pattern based learning gameplay, right? Now it's just, well, I'll shell out $16 and I'll beat it in a day.
Well,
That's not gaming.
And it
That,
may
like
be,
that's nothing. It's meaningless.
it might bother us more too, because some of these things, back when we played these games, were cheat codes, where they're
Yeah.
Or Game
free.
Genies.
So, yes, or game genies. So we just got the codes or did whatever to unlock it
Yeah.
ourselves.
Or how about the original
to play
DLC?
it we wanted to.
If you wanted to
Yes.
keep playing a game, you drop it another quarter.
That's a great point. That yeah, the quarter dropping was the original DLC, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh, you ran out of life. You've got 9 seconds to continue.
8, 7, 6.
Yeah, the original Simpsons arcade game, man. I have some great memories of,
Yeah, and
of
Ninja
the
Turtles.
Simpsons beat 'em up. Yeah, Ninja Turtles. I mean, and the thing was is that arcades could turn the difficulty up and down, right, depending on how much money they wanted to make.
Oh yeah.
So it's always been there.
Those arcades all have dip switches to adjust the difficulty.
But I still just like this it feels slimy, and that's my part of the discussion on it. I don't like it. I don't think it should exist. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk over some events. All right, just one event to talk about this week from Pokemon Go. Defense Form Deoxys will be available in EX Raid starting March 25th at 3 p.m. Central. No date on when that goes to, but if you need Defense Form Deoxys,
those EX raids are always just whenever the next one launches. They're normally up for
okay.
2 or 3 months before they change them out.
Yeah, now Jesse, did I pronounce that right? Deoxys?
That is correct.
All right. See, I'm learning my Pokemon just for this segment each
I think
week.
there's this is the third form. I think the Dex in Go has 4 forms, so it'll probably be the speed form after this before they go on to probably one of the legendaries in Gen 4.
Probably the. Well, I mean, you gotta pick up the attack form and the sleep form, right?
Well, we have the attack and the normal form and the attack form have already been out. I know you're making a joke, but you are half right.
It was a sleep form.
I don't know what's about to sleep, but
The brunch form, where it drinks mimosas and eats crepes.
okay, I don't do humor as well when I'm this stuffy.
I don't do humor well at all, apparently. Let's move on to what we've been playing.
Where is it? There it is.
All right, Tim, off, since you are the guest this week, quote unquote, why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
Sure. Mine should be pretty quick. But last week I went to a conference, so I was gone all last week out of state. And on the plane ride there and plane ride back, I played a little more Undertale.
Yeah.
So, and I've learned something too. And I was listening to the NBC show today, and they were talking about Undertale. And they talked about how there's a lot of connections to RPGs to this game, and this is what it plays to. And this is, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody who really likes the game, but this is probably why I'm not getting attached to it like, say, you and your son or anybody else, because I don't play that many RPGs. So I'm not getting some of the references, I'm still having fun with it. I'm having fun with the story and the the humor in it. So, but I finally got why I'm not picking up on some of the things that some of you have picked up on it when playing that game. And that's because I haven't played as many RPGs as maybe some others who are into Undertale as I am, or
I got
as
you.
I have been. And then more recently, I've been playing. My daughter got me to buy a Battle Pass for Fortnite, and so I've been playing that. And actually, posted something on Twitter about it.
You mean you didn't get
Um,
your battle pass for free this season?
no, no, I didn't do it. And this is the first one I bought. So in season 8, the first one I bought. I just kind of played as the free game. Had fun with it, but my daughter was like, "Oh, you got to do Battle Pass so you can do some of the challenges with me." And so it was actually kind of fun because it gave me a new perspective on I didn't necessarily have to go looking to kill everybody. It was a matter of completing some of these challenges
Yeah,
and
you
getting
just
the tier
do
levels.
some of the things I want to ask you to do are just random.
Yeah.
Like, like there's a ramp and there's a buggy. Go fly, and that's
Right.
like that's a mission that you do in the
And it's
middle
a
of
challenge too.
your 1v100 fight.
Exactly. That's the challenge, is not to get shot while you're trying to complete some of these challenges that you can
Yeah.
do.
Right.
So,
I was
so
watching
that
my son play last week a little bit, and he was, he paid the money, the extra money to jump ahead a few levels, and he was like I think 47. So the I th- the
yeah.
reward for getting to 48 was a new skin. I don't remember. I think it was like peely or something. So it's basically a banana peel,
Yes.
and he was explaining to me that it starts off green, and the longer you live while you're wearing it, it will turn yellow and then turn brown. If
That's awesome.
that's how I go, like
My
that's kind
daughter
of
got that same
impressive.
one too. Yeah. So we had a
Yeah,
lot of fun with
it's a
that.
banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had a lot of fun daddy daughter time playing video games. So that was cool and stuff. And now my son is like, "Oh, I want to play too." So, but he's more of the type of person who likes to go to the creative section of Fortnite and do the creative stuff.
Gotcha.
So, that's what I've been playing.
Awesome. Jesse, what about you? What have you been playing?
okay, so I picked up the demo to Blockapix Deluxe, and also saw that the game was available for pre-download, so I just went ahead and did it before buying the demo, and I'm thinking that might have been a mistake. I played the demo. I finished the first puzzle, and then, but I at least maybe I just haven't gotten the gist of this new puzzle format yet. But it's not like Picross work. Picross is I know Picross and how it works. It's just running an algorithm in my head, and I can to solve it. But this one seems to be more guesswork. So I don't know if I just but basically what's your do you remember not the block of picks line, but the other line that you and I played, where you connect the lines between two numbers, and the number
Oh yeah, pick
represented
up
the
pixel lines.
yeah. So think that you have a grid of numbers, but instead of connecting 2 points, each number represents the area of a rectangle. So if you see a 25 out there, it'll likely be 5 by 5 because there isn't enough room to do unless you have a 1 by 25. I think 5 by 5 is the only option. But if you have a 4, it can be a 2 by 2 or a 1 by 4. But the number doesn't have to be the endpoint either. The number could be in the middle of that bar. So that gives you multiple ways this thing could fit.
Oh wow, that sounds super confusing.
Yeah, so especially when you have, say, a 10 in the middle of a wide open space. Like, okay, this could be a 10 by 1 in horizontally or vertically. It could be a 2 by 5, or yeah. And then there are 10 different ways a 10 by 1 can fit in. So there's a lot of different combinations going on, and it hasn't all clicked in my head yet. It might, and then I'll still enjoy playing the game. But if it doesn't click, then I'm not sure I'll get far into the game I've already paid for. But it's if you like that type of game, that's it's another option. So it is a different gameplay. It's not Picross. It's different, but the premise is ultimately the same. Draw the picture.
Okay.
Then I also picked up Arcade Archives Elevator Action, which is a game that very few people have nostalgia for, but I am one of the weird ones who do, because I did enjoy. This was an arcade I used to play a lot as a kid, and I remember being able to beat the first world often, but when I played it today, it took me like 7 or 8 tries before I finally did. So I don't know if this is the Japanese version and it's harder, or I'm just getting rusty in my old age. I haven't decided yet.
Can you play this one in vertical mode as well, or portrait mode?
You know what?
Do you
I
know?
didn't even look for the options because I was playing it docked.
Okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me if it. I bet it does have a Tate mode because most of those games do. Next time I play it, I'll give it a try. If you don't know what elevator action is, you're this espionage spy that grapples under the roof of a 30-story building, and you're working your way down using elevators and escalators, trying to not get shot at by the people trying to stop you, while you shoot at them so they don't stop you. And you're trying to get down into the basement level where a car is waiting for you to drive off. As you're going down, you'll occasionally see these red doors that if you go into to steal the secrets from within, then you'll get bonus points. So it's basically just a high score running game. You just do this. When you finish the first level, you start over with a more difficult setting, and then keep going.
So just basically, how far can you get?
Yep. Yeah, it's your traditional 1982-ish arcade. So, I enjoy it, though. This game announced with no announcement. It wasn't in the Nintendo download PR, because those Arcade Archives for some reason don't show up until the week after it launches. And the high score mode only lets you log a high score once you've beaten 10,000 points. So if you don't get 10,000 points, you don't get scored. When I played it like just before we were recording. There was only 15 names on that high score list.
Wow.
And I scored in 10th place. So I don't know if this is just because no one knows it's out yet, or no one cares. But definitely it's getting less play than Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr.
Well, I mean,
which is understandably so,
right?
Yeah, that is understandably so. But I would have expected at least 50 people to play it.
Well, I'm sure they haven't. They may just suck at it.
That's true too. Yeah, you have to have 50 people good enough to get 100 to get 10,000 points.
Right.
Which took me half an hour of playing to do so.
So see, there you go. Maybe you're not as bad at it as you thought.
Maybe
it's just really hard.
Okay, right? Then the last thing I want to talk about. Excuse me. We mentioned last week that I got that arcade cabinet in, and we were going to put it together this weekend. So I think my son and I worked 2 hours on Friday night, and my daughters and I spent about 2 hours Saturday night to finish it. We recorded everything, and I have it spliced out into, I think, 10 episodes that are 20 to 25 minutes each. So it's pretty much just us talking and building this thing, and that's it. So it's I did put some background music in there just so to fill the voids from when we weren't talking, and so I plan on putting them out on YouTube, probably 2 or 3 a day once I get them ready to go. I have them all rendered. I just have to upload them all to YouTube, and then I took both parts and time-lapsed it 32 times. So it's the whole thing plays start to finish in under 7 minutes. So that's kind of a humorous thing. What I plan on doing with that, so the 10 parts series, I plan on publishing those publicly 2 or 3 episodes a day, and then the time lapse one I'll probably push that out first, list as unlisted for the patrons, and then once episode 10 goes out, then I'll make that one public for everyone as well. So patrons will get a timed exclusive on that one.
I can't wait to see that. It's when you did the sneak peek post I think on Twitter, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I put a 5-second clip of the 32 times thing on Twitter, and it's funny watching me going.
It's funny. Yeah, I always like seeing time lapse stuff, but it's cool to see the pictures that you've sent and seeing people play on it. That's really cool. What you guys are doing there,
and then
what you did.
If you haven't seen that, you got some pics on your Twitter account?
I might have put a few of them out there. I don't think I did many. Most of the pictures I took, I think I threw in Discord. I do have. I recorded myself play Hypersports for about 5 minutes one day. I already had that up for the patrons to watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on public probably tonight before I go to bed.
The Nintendo Dad's custom cabinet is a very nice touch.
Yeah, and thanks to Tim to helping me with the art.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah,
which people can get on our store. They can get that same art on T-shirts.
Yeah. I used the assets that we use in our store for that. Yep. So the top marquee is the Super Nintendo like design with our 5 avatars on it, and then the side art has the 5 of us hanging from the balloon. Well, 4 of us from the balloon, and Gary's just standing on the bottom. And yeah, it's a blurry sticker, but he's showing the sticker.
I got it.
In fact, cool. Matthew saw Marty's was upside down, and he goes, "Is that a printing error?" And that's clear now. And I'm like, "No, that's by design. Donkey Kong's holding him by his foot, because when he saw the image, he didn't see the top half of that image yet, because we were only working on the base of the unit. So once he saw everything together, it made sense." So
it's a really cool unit, man. I'm excited about that one, but I think I'm more excited about the Baby Pac-Man.
Yeah, that's when the weather gets nicer and I have a little bit extra money to, I guess I can hire someone to help repair the base and make sure the pinball parts are working. Then I'll bring that inside and do some videos on that too.
And then I have to come visit so I can play it, because I've literally never seen a Baby Pac-Man machine.
Yeah. Have I ever? Did I send you the pictures that I took of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen. I mean, I've never seen one out in the wild. I've never seen one to play it.
Yeah, I think I might have only seen 3 or 4 of those machines in the wild my entire life. So it's
gotcha.
So a Nintendo Dad's Con at Jesse's house this summer, right?
If we ever have Nintendo Dad's Con, we'll have to bring the Baby Pac-Man along. Jesse's probably. No,
I don't think that'll travel very well. You know, having the thing at my house, you know, with how many people that would show up, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Because I don't think we'll have a lot of people traveling to Kansas City.
Who knows? You got great barbecue. You've got good baseball, and you got you.
And then my daughter and I can kick your butt in Hypersports and track and field.
Yeah, we'll see.
My youngest daughter is the one who's actually put more time into that than anyone, which kind of surprises me. So it's good.
Yeah, I know how to button smash really good. So
it's nice to see
I'll take that challenge.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know what Hypersports is, it's like the sequel to track and field.
Oh, okay.
So just similar concept, button mashy, and just different events.
Nice. Is that all you've been playing?
That wraps up what I've been playing. Okay,
cool. So I already mentioned earlier in the show that I've been playing Star Tropics. I'm not going to hit that too much, but I am working my way through that. I'm on chapter 4 right now out of 9, so I'm enjoying my time there. It is extremely difficult, but it's also extremely rewarding to figure out some of the puzzles and figure out, to kind of get your skills up a little bit on that. So look forward to me talking about that a little bit more. I've also been playing I Am Setsuna. I'd also mentioned that. This is a game that came out originally on the PS4 and then launched with the Switch. It was Square Enix's first game for the Switch. It is the tale of a sacrifice named Setsuna who sets out from her village with her sacrifice vanguard, who are guiding her to a place called the Last Lands so that she can be offered up as a sacrifice to keep monsters from attacking the
So,
world.
subtitle is totally not Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I just
This is totally. You know what the bad part about it is? Like both characters are wearing kimonos or robes and have a staff. Well, actually, Setsuna throws chakrams, which is just weird in and of itself. I've probably put about 5 or 6 hours into this game or more this week because I've kind of really gotten engrossed in it. I checked today and I'm about halfway through it. I love this game. I love that it feels like Final Fantasy X and Chrono Trigger had a baby, and so in a lot of ways, it's really good. There's this weird, I won't say weird, the kind of the gameplay that it's kind of real time attack and move. It basically the battles look and function like Chrono Trigger. You can combo, you can team up with people, but it also has this momentum mechanic where if you'll allow your attack bar or your active battle bar to fill up, you can then wait and the momentum gauge will fill up as well, and it will give you these like the ability to hit twice or heal for more, or the spell will do more damage if you time a button press at the right time. So all that's going on. And the world is really beautiful. I mean, you're in this like snow-covered world, and everything is white. And when there's other colors, they like pop off the screen. And then like the music is all piano based, so it kind of blends in well and doesn't distract. But the only like where I'm having the difficulty with this game is that by fighting enemies, you never get gold. The only way to earn gold is to find it or to sell items, and the difficulty in that comes with like you can't sell the weapons you buy, you can't sell the rings and other accessories you buy, you can't sell them at all, and they're insanely expensive. And the only way you can get money is by selling ingredients that you could either use to cook with, to temper your weapons, or to develop Spritnite, which is this game's version of how you learn spells. Because you don't learn spells by leveling up. You just get more HP and MP, and that's it. So there's this grindy element to it of I've just got to fight and fight and fight and fight so that I can then have all these items and ingredients that I can then go sell. And once I sell them, I either can sell them and use the money to buy weapons, or I can make Spritnite with them. But you can't sell Spritnite, and you can't sell weapons, and you can't sell accessories. It's just weird. Like, it just feels clunky after playing like
that makes sense.
Basically, every role-playing game lets you sell your old gear, right? So where I should have this, like, as we talked about earlier with Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, as it should scale up appropriately, I'm at a point in the game where it's not, because I need money to buy new items, but there's no direction at all on what kind of Spritnite you need, or what kind of accessories you need, or what kind of weapons you need, or what you need the chef to cook, or it's just out there, and there's just like menu after menu after menu after menu of it, and it's just bleh. It's just too much to process. It's too much to digest. And I get that this was Tokyo RPG's factory's like first attempt at making an old school RPG like this, and so there's some things that they didn't get right. This is one of those things they didn't get right. Enemies drop experience and gold, and occasionally items. It's not that hard. And so, yeah, it's kind of increased or decreased my love of the game a little bit, but I'm going to finish it. I'm committed to it. I'm excited about finishing it. And so I still think it's worth it. I mean, if you're a JRPG fan, then it's been on sale like a bunch of times, and it'll probably come out for sale again. And if you like Chrono Trigger, it's a definite must buy. So just throwing that out there.
How many hours have you put into it again? I'm sorry if I missed that. If you still said it.
I feel like I've put 5, 6, 7 hours into it. Um, let's check and see what the old Switch says here. How about that?
Yeah, I remember.
If I can,
Yeah, I bought this on Steam when it was newer, when it was on sale, because it was
oh
like
yeah, it is
40.
also out there on Steam.
Because it was like $40, and I'm like, it seems steep, and then so I didn't buy it right away on Switch when Switch came out. I waited till that was on sale, and then I picked it up. So I bought another one of those games where I bought it twice and never got far.
Yeah.
I tend
So
to
it
do that a
says
lot, don't I?
it says on how long to beat that completionist it takes 46 and a half hours,
Oh
or
wow.
or main story if you're just doing the story is 20 and a half hours.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the story. I'm not going for all the side quests and stuff. When
So
she dies
relatively
or I beat the
short
final
for an
boss,
RPG.
it's done.
It's relatively short for an RPG then, right?
It is. I mean, most modern RPGs that people talk about a lot, it's like 60 plus hours investment, right?
At
So
least.
hopefully I will get through it before then. Another game I've been playing, I actually put up a video on our YouTube channel on this one this week, is Claybook, which is a new physics puzzler. It's out from Second Order Games. Everything in this game is made of clay, which is really cool. Like if you are a fan of the old clay, like Will Vinton claymation specials that came on at Christmas, like the California Raisins one, or different things like that, or you love stop motion animation, they're like, it's a really cool
Link's
little aesthetic
Awakening.
that's going on. I don't know if it's very much Link's Awakening.
That was just a joke.
Well, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of
Yeah.
the aesthetic there too. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, I really
Well,
can't.
based on what my previous comment was on the remake.
Oh yeah, that's true. So in Claybook, the basic premise of the game is that you are a child who is controlling a lump of clay via a joystick, and you can see that in the background. Like you can see yourself, and like when you move, he'll move the joystick around or whatever. But what you're doing is you're moving this clay around and using it to solve different puzzles. In the first, tutorial levels, it's just like how to turn into different shapes and how to use the rewind feature to leave a shape behind so that you can use it to stack up and climb. But then it eventually gets to different levels, like you can use the square shape to carve through clay. Well, actually, any of them will do it, but like the square shape is better. And you carve through and drain this water out into trays on both sides. Or there's one where there's chocolate bunnies around through the level, and you have to like climb up to different heights and basically carve them away or eat them so
Yum.
that they will, to reach a certain percentage, or get to a certain point where you can, because there's not really a jump button or anything, but like you get to a certain point and get your shape exactly in this outline and get percentage that way. Like aesthetically, it's an awesome game. Like I love the aesthetics of it. The gameplay and actually just the control in and of itself actually feels a little loose for me, especially when you're like trying to roll up what looks like a strand of spaghetti, that big around, and you're trying to roll up and get to the big chocolate bunny at the top, and you keep falling off and you fall off and you fall off and you fall off. Of course, you can rewind, but still, it's just like for it to be this physics puzzler type of game. Like there's this point where you're like your shape can start spinning so fast in the air because you're trying to move forward that once you hit the ground it takes off, and before you know it you're halfway across the play area.
Whee!
And yeah, you didn't even mean to go over there. You were just trying to get up the stairs, right? The other cool thing about this is that it's also a sandbox game, in that you can build your own puzzles, you can edit your own levels. It's only limited by your imagination. So it's like you can make any kind of challenge or puzzle you want, and there's already an online community forming around it where you can go online and you can download their ideas as well. In the video that I posted, there was one called Poo Poo Bananas. So we had to go check that out. went to go see what the poop poop bananas were all about. And there was poop and bananas, and that was about it. But there's also like all kinds of different things you can interact with, like a cannon that shoots water. You can put and like another thing. Let me backtrack to this is that like you're not just stuck with one shape. Like there might be multiple lumps of clay in a level, and when you get close to them, like the Y button symbol will appear above them, and you can swap to that. Like you can move control from one to the other. So I thought that was really neat, and it's very chill. And so if you're looking for a game, just kind of like mess around with, or you just want to do the online elements, or I've said this before, Switch doesn't have enough puzzle games. Well, here is one that you can use physics to figure out. It's called Claybook. It's out right now on the eShop, and it might be worth checking out. I also think this would be a fun one to play with kids because of being able to make creations with them, and it's like Play-Doh without the cleanup.
Best part.
Right?
Sold.
Yeah, it's best part.
Well, the worst part of Play-Doh, rather.
Yeah, Tim, you had something?
No, I just said sold.
Yeah. Play-Doh without the cleanup, sold.
Yes.
The last game that I want to talk about very briefly, it just came out today, is Baba Is You.
Yeah, I did play this too. I don't know why I skipped over it, but we'll talk about it together.
Okay, well, it just hit the eShop today. It's $15. Baba Is You is a puzzle game where you play as Baba, who looks like this little elephant thing, and
I see it as
the
a
only
sheep,
thing you
which
can
makes
do
sense with
is
Baba.
the only thing you can do is push things, right? So it's kind of like Lolo in a way, like if you remember the old Lolo game. But what you can do is in each level, you will see different rules on the screen, like Baba Is You, rocks equal push, lava equal hot. And you can take these rules and you can push the different words out of them and change the rules.
The only thing you can't do is remove Baba Is something, because once you do that, you have no control over anything. And
that's exactly right. And so the general controls of the game are handled by the stick or the directional controls and the X and Y buttons, which are your rewind.
Yeah, and then you can use ZL to just do a full reboot of the level.
That's true. Yeah, you can do that as well. So, like in one of the early levels, you will find yourself changing Baba Is You to Wall Is You, and you actually become the wall layout of the level, which you then move over the flag and win.
Yeah, once in one level, the flag is normally is flag is win. I ended up moving the flag to was like flag is Baba, and then the flag turned into a clone of me.
So there was no touch and win.
No, the flag is gone. Oh. There is no flag anymore. And now I'm controlling two Babas around.
Oh wow! I don't think I made it to that level yet.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think I actually finished that level either. That's one of the levels I'm stuck on. So I think I've finished 12 levels, and so I have like 4 or 5 levels available to me. And I'm right now I'm stuck on them all already. And it's one of them, like. So I think one of the funniest things I did was I was showing my son this game. There's a level where there's lava. So I changed lava is hot to lava is push. And then I was able to push elements of the lava out of the way to get to the other side so I can get to the key or the flag.
Yeah. It's really like, I think that what we'll probably find as we get toward, the middle and end of the game is there's probably multiple ways to solve each level.
Probably, yeah.
Depending on your rule combinations. And so it's actually pretty ingenious. And it's a very unique puzzle game. It's not a graphic workhorse at all. But it's a ton of fun. It's kind of got a a very dry, um, wacky sense of humor as well. And so if you're looking for a puzzle game that's just a little bit different, then Baba is You might be right up your alley. It's right there on the Switch as well. Maybe we'll put up a video of it at some point as well. Well, guys, that's what we've been playing. Really quick here, let's hit our community spotlight and wrap up the show. All right. A couple of things we want to highlight here at the Community Spotlight. You guys know that starting in January, we reintroduced our giveaways for every Nintendo Dads patron. If you are a member of our Patreon, does not matter what you put in for that, be it $1, $30, whatever, you are entered in a drawing every month to win a eShop card. And we drew for February. Actually, we are late in doing that, and we apologize. But starting with April, that will be drawn on the first Wednesday of the month, and it will be retroactive for the past month. So in April, we will draw for March, which means we just drew for February, and February's winner of the $50 eShop credit is Chris Mears. Chris Mears wins that $50 eShop credit. Chris, we will be contacting you via Patreon very soon to set up how you want that eShop credit. And so be watching your inbox for that. And thank you for being a patron of the show. Let's move on to some messages here. With this week, we've got an email and we've got one or two questions and comments from Patreon and Twitter. Warren Akers sends us this email. He said, last week you guys briefly talked about reasons someone might not yet have purchased a Switch. Well, I am one of those people, and I have a reason. Looking back, I've always waited for a new exclusive Zelda game to be announced. I waited for Ocarina of Time to get the Nintendo 64, Wind Waker to get the GameCube, Skyward Sword to get Wii U, and Breath of the Wild, or Skyward Sword to get the Wii, and Breath of the Wild to get Wii U.
That last sentence kind of hurts.
I know. This often means that the console has been around a while and could potentially have better deals or discounted games. And here we are. Link's Awakening Remake is out soon, so it's time for me to buy in. I know I'm in the minority, but I thought I would throw in my perspective. Keep up the dad work, fellas. I wonder, I don't think you're in the smallest minority of people, but I think you're definitely in a minority of people who wait for a Zelda game specifically to buy a console. But
waiting for Skyward Sword to get a Wii, that's impressive, because that was pretty much the last game. Same with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least you're going to get to enjoy more of the Switch's console actual life cycle this time with Link's Awakening than you did with Wii and Wii U. I don't know anything else to say about that. I mean, we pretty much covered that topic last week. If you're still out there and you've not bought a Switch yet and you're waiting for a specific game, tweet us at Nintendo Dads and tell us, what is the game you're waiting for? Is it Pokemon? Is it Mario Kart 9? If that even exists. Is it Animal Crossing? Luigi's Mansion? Whatever it is, let us know. I would love to know what it is you're waiting for.
Maybe it's Super Nintendo games.
Maybe
or GameCube games.
Who knows? It might be. That's a good point. Over on Twitter, our good friend of the show, Mecca, asks us this. He says, I want you guys' opinion on how much can a media, meaning game, animation, movie, etc., how much can they push on using nostalgia till it eventually just feels forced or a huge marketing ploy? Like, how far do you have to go till you're, all right, you're clearly going overboard here?
Probably depends on what the IP is.
Okay.
Because if it's
do you have an example of one that would be, all right, you're going overboard here?
Well, not a specific one, but I might come up with one at the end of my little explanation. But like if if you have an IP that has already been long-standing, then it'll probably take that much longer before it feels like it's overstayed its welcome. If it's one that's relatively short, it probably plays more on nostalgia, and how much good story you can get out of whatever your IP is.
Do you think that we're seeing this with Star Wars?
We probably,
because that was the first one that came to mind.
That's a good example of this.
I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars. But let me make that clear. I am not knocking Star Wars, but remember the hype when Episode 7 came out?
Yeah, I would agree that the quality in the storytelling is just not the same over what it was back in the 80s.
Okay. Tim, what about you? Is there how far do you have to go till you're like, all right, you're going overboard here?
That is a great question, and there was two things I thought of, two movies I thought of because I thought of this before hearing this question was Captain Marvel because it goes back to the 90s, and Wonder Woman because it goes back to the 80s, if I remember correctly, the new one that's coming out. And those two, before seeing Captain Marvel and haven't yet seen Wonder Woman, I was concerned that they might be playing on nostalgia to try to get our generations to go see those movies. So there is potential there. And now after seeing Captain Marvel, I think they used it very well. The 90s references and stuff.
I think the running gags of just how slow computers and internet was hilarious.
Right. So if used right, yes. So, but there was concern there.
So true.
Yes. And and then I had the concern about Wonder Woman, but there's a potential of it going the wrong way and using too much of it to, like, what the point of it is blatantly trying to sell to our generation to come see these movies. I can't think of one right now. Your example of Star Wars is a great example too, to potentially feed off of that, but I also see that as bridging the gap where they're trying to make us feel the nostalgia, but also trying to bring it to new audiences. So I think, again, it just has to be told well and done well. And, we thought maybe if they changed George Lucas from doing it to other directors, it would be better. But, some people still complain about that.
I think another example that they overstayed their welcome was the Shrek series.
Yes.
The last two were... if they didn't exist, I don't think I'd be missing anything.
No, nobody would.
Going back to Transformers, too. I know we brought that up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That one
Transformers
really
is a great example of this. Yeah. And I didn't even
when it sounds like
that.
Peter Cullen's phoning it in, something's wrong.
Yeah. And
I was trying to think of a specific video game that this would apply to. And, I can't think of any, like, the only example that my
Call
brain
of Duty.
keeps. Yeah. Well, the only, like, when you think about nostalgia, the only thing that I like that my brain keeps coming back to is the Sonic franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why do people keep buying these games? Like, it's been 10 or 12 years now of these games are absolute garbage fires. And the only good Sonic game made in the last 10 or 12 years is Sonic Mania, which was not even really made by Sega. But I mean, look at it. What did it do? Let's play on nostalgia, right? Mm-hmm. Let's make it like it used to be. And this time it worked. Thank goodness.
Well, and they built off of it too. So when you beat that familiar stage, it continued on, right, to where you went on to a harder part of it.
Transformed into something different.
Yes,
yeah. So, and that was just very. If it had just been, hey, let's make old Sonic, I don't know that it would have worked as well as, hey, we're gonna throw you in this very nostalgic zone, and then in Act 2 of it, we're gonna flip it on its head.
Yeah.
That was great. I really and Mecca, I hope that we, answered your question a little bit.
It was a great
I mean,
question.
that's a great question. It's a very thought-provoking question. And I think it's one that honestly, I think game developers wrestle with this of how do we make this good and not make it just like it always has been, right? I mean, imagine the fear and the I guess I don't know any other way to say it, so I'm just going to say, imagine the balls it took for AJ Anuma to come in and be like, all right, we're taking Zelda and we're going to completely change it and make it open world.
Yeah.
And to cast that vision, right?
So
we're
it
not
doesn't
just
go
gonna
down that
we're
same
not
old
just
rabbit
gonna
hole.
do the three artifacts that lead you into the other thing to get the other thing that leads you to Ganon. No, we're gonna do it completely different. That's the only way I know to describe it. It took bravery, it took guts, it took grit to do that. And I think you look at the reward, look at the payoff, right? The game that's going to be remembered forever is Breath of the Wild. So, but I mean, don't reinvent the wheel or anything, but you also don't have to like throw, hey, remember, hey, remember, hey, remember, up all the time. I don't know. That's a great question. Great stuff. Let's pop over to Patreon. We've got a couple of questions there. John Blanco asks us this. I love this question. What is a Switch game that you hate played to completion? Something you no longer enjoyed but were absolutely insistent on seeing the ending to?
Is he referencing Hollow Knight?
Maybe. he very well maybe. Because I think he and I are like the only people who don't like Hollow Knight. Because everywhere he goes, like, oh, Hollow Knight, our savior is here. No, I'll just delete it off my Switch. Jesse, what about you? Maybe don't just restrict it to Switch. What's a game that you have hate played to completion?
I don't do that very often, because if I get that ticked off at a game, I'll stop, even if I'm at the final boss, and I don't care. See. Well, see. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Now, a game that's going to come close might be the Golf Story, just because that last course is just so sadistic. Let's give you 17-mile-an-hour winds, of which you've never had to play with before. So good luck. Like, okay, thanks. So I never did finish that game.
Gotcha. What about you, Tim? A game that you have hate played to completion?
I don't think I've ever had one of those because, like Jesse, I think it was more of a I didn't if I wasn't getting into it, I didn't finish it. So,
right.
But I will say there have been games that I felt that were good. I enjoyed playing them, but also I felt like they were getting too long. They were getting too long in the tooth. Like I felt like, okay, I should be done with this by now.
Skyward
What's going on? Yeah. So those type of games I've pushed through. I don't want to offend anybody who really liked this game, but Mario Odyssey, I think, kind of fit that, where it started feeling like it was starting to get long in the tooth.
Wow. Wow.
It was a great game. I finished it. I beat it.
It was great being friends for a while, Tim. So.
No, it's like I said, it was a great game. It was fun. It was just at certain points, it felt like it was going on longer than it needed to be. I don't know if
absolutely the opposite of you. I thought it didn't go on long enough. I felt like there was other stuff to do. I still feel like there's other stuff to do. Where's
the DLC, right?
Where's Delfino Island? Come on. It's out there. I know it is.
Where's my 900 Korok seeds?
No, I don't want to find 900 billion. Those are moons in this game. A couple of games sprang to mind when I thought of this. Specifically on the Switch, it was Severed. I don't know if you've ever played that game. It was originally on By Drinkbox Studios, same people who make Guacamelee. It was on touchscreen devices first, and
Yeah,
then
Vita,
came to the
3DS.
Switch. Yeah, it was on the 3DS too. I forgot about that. There's a point where you're just like, okay, I've had enough. This game is now 30 minutes to an hour and a half longer than it should have been. Right, like what you were saying. It just and the other one that came to mind, and Jesse, you're probably gonna not like this, but that's okay. Is there is a point I love these games, but there's a point in every Ace Attorney game where I'm like, oh my god, just end it already.
In fact, I was going to bring up the Layton games, and
Yes,
those
yeah,
games, near around 3/4 of the way through, I get sick of the puzzles. I'm like, I just give me the story, and I normally end up with walk-throughing through most of the puzzles just to get to
and
just to the
that's
end,
and
to
that's
end the
where I
game.
was. The last Ace Attorney that I played, I was using a walkthrough for the last 2/3 of it. I was just like, oh my gosh,
Right.
just let me get to the choice that I need to make so that I can go. But I like the thing about Severed was is I was invested in the story, so I wanted to see how it ended. Yeah, it's like I don't need to fight these birds again. I don't need to fight this monkey with no eyes and a mouth. Like I fought
Sounds
these. Why are you
unpleasant.
stopping me? You're stopping me all over and over and over. And Severed's a pretty unique game, but it just gets really repetitive after a while. Cat Janitor asks us this. This is a follow up from John's question. He says, almost awesome question from John Blanco. I have almost the opposite question. When do you decide to quit a game? What factors go into that decision? He gives this example. I recently picked up Moonlighter and was really enjoying it up until I hit a boss that feels unbeatable. And the way the game is set up, there's no real way to level up until after you beat him. So it felt like a waste of time, and I put the game down for something else. Jesse, when do you decide to quit a game?
Most of the time, it's just something else comes around that I want to play more, and then I just never get around to going back to it. But there are games where I just hit a wall, and no matter how much I beat my head on it, I just can't beat it. Like a recent example was when I played Final Fantasy X HD on the Vita, and I had played the game on PS2 before. Got maybe halfway through and stopped because I couldn't get past one of the Seymour fights. But of course, back then I apparently didn't realize how the cancel magic spells work. They have elemental nulling. It's like null fire. So and Seymour in that fight telegraphs the hell out of his attacks. So you know what he's going to do. So if you null it, then he can't hurt you. But I don't know why I didn't realize this before. But I realized it when I played it on the Vita. I got near the end of the game where the boss battle resembled a grid-based strategy game. Now, in the middle of this turn-based fight, and you know how well I like those, and I couldn't. I tried like 4 or 5 times, couldn't beat it, couldn't figure out where I needed to place my people, and that's what I walked away from it at that point.
Yeah.
So
Tim, what about you?
there's just a line where I just start banging my head on it, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
So
Okay.
for me, I would quit a game if I'm not having fun anymore. So if it feels like I'm pushing to play it for the wrong reasons, like because everybody else is playing it and beating it and talking about it, and I'm trying to keep up, and I'm not playing it for the fun of it anymore. I'm playing it for those reasons. Then I'll quit it and maybe come back to it. Or if I really wanted to play it, I would come back and play it. If I didn't really want to play it, then it ends up just sitting there until maybe later on down the line I'll play it. But to go back to that first question, a better game to tell you about rage finishing it or whatever it was is the game I had to review called North. This was sometime last year. I wanted. It was a strange story. It was first person. It was a story based game, or novel type game, I think. Um, and it was a matter of just okay. I want to beat it so I can one review it, and two just to figure out what the heck this game was all about. So I pushed through it, and just had to get through that game. So that I think is a better example of his question, the first question, and then the other one is like I said, if I'll say Octopath is a good example of one where everybody was playing it, everybody's trying to beat it, everybody's talking about it. So I kept trying to push through it and to where it wasn't fun anymore. It was more like a work or task or something like that. So I kind of put it off to the side and hoping to come back to it again later.
Yeah, I have tons of games that I've started and haven't finished. I am Setsuna is one of them, and I'm trying to go back and fix that, right? But I think that like where you put a game down and don't come back to it is like just like what Tim says, when there's no longer any enjoyment for you in that game, since that gaming is a hobby, it's supposed to be an escape, right, from reality. So for me, that was, and I know this is going to sound weird, but it was the original Yokai Watch. There is a point that you get to where you're supposed to fight the end boss of the game, which I then found out is not the end boss of the game. And at this point, I'm so far into it, and the game does not give you a real good guide on how to put yokai together to make new ones, or how to build your team or anything like that. At least I didn't feel like there was a great guide on that, or ease of understanding about which ones I needed and different things like that. And I guess we just weren't leveled up enough, but I just cannot defeat the big bad boss yokai who's trying to invade the world. And so I just quit. I was like, well, it's there. I might go back to it eventually, or I may just watch it on YouTube, because I have 15 billion other games I want to play. I'd like to actually perform the act of beating the game, but that probably is never going to happen. So I think it just, the best time to quit is when it's not fun anymore. If it's making you mad, if it's making you hate the game, quit. Put it up. Stop it. Get some help.
I've heard plenty of examples too where people have hated the game. Probably, I would say one of the examples could be like mine, where it was like I was trying to beat it along with everybody else, or play it at the same time everybody else was, and just hated it. And then, but they come back to it and enjoy it more because they can enjoy it at their own pace, or for whatever reason they come back to it and find, oh well, hey, the pressure's off, so I can actually enjoy this.
That's very true.
Yep.
Very true. Well, guys, that about wraps it up. That's episode 221 of Nintendo Dads. We want to thank Tim for joining us. But before we go and we talk about the rundown, our end of the show stuff, I want to talk about what's going on the next couple of weeks here on the show. As I referenced earlier on, I'll be out of the country for about 9 days on a mission trip to Mexico. During that time, next week, we're going to have, apparently, the Euro Boys takeover with Justin and Jesse and Gary.
At 3 in the morning.
At 3 in the morning or earlier. They talked about possibly recording it earlier. And then for our $30 patrons, they have the right to come on, or the privilege to come on once, every now and then, and be on the show as a Patreon producer. And so in 2 weeks, we are going to see the debut of John Blanco here on the show as his first time guesting as a Patreon producer. And I'm excited about that. I hate I'm going to miss it, but I will be back for the first show of April. I promise you that. We're going to hopefully have a lot to discuss from Game Developers Conference, and they will probably have talked about all that, but I'll chime in with my opinions and all that when that time comes. And so that's what you can look forward to at episode 222 and 223 coming up really soon. And we've got some other cool stuff coming down the pike as well. So stick around for that. Guys, we want to say huge thanks to our Patreon producers for making this show possible, as well as all of our Patreons over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. Our producers are Chris Mears, John Blanco, Dave Ernsberger, and our own Timothy Off. Thank you guys for chiming in at that level, and everyone who gives to our Patreon. You are awesome. Like I said, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to support us. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, anywhere there's social media at Nintendo Dads. That's at Nintendo Dads, all one word, all lowercase. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. You can call in and leave us a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. And if you want to buy sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, head over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase, and get yourself some merch. Get hooked up like that, the side of Jesse's arcade cabinet there. You can get that on a t-shirt, or you can get a hat or a phone cover or coasters or stickers or all kinds of other stuff over there just like that. The Voltendo Dads phone case there that Tim's rocking. Again, big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show. And thanks to Adam Leonard and Carter Johnson for all the sweet artwork they do for us. For me, for Jesse, for Tim, this has been episode 221 of Nintendo Dads. See ya!
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
I love it.